first question is, what's your first name?
Jason.
Is that spelled J-A-S-O-N?
J-A-S-O-N.
And your last name?
Dougherty, D-O-U-G-H-E-R-T-Y.
And what's your appropriate title for you?
Deputy Chief of Operations.
Okay. So, Chief, first off, tell me about the hoods that you guys are testing here in Hillsborough County.
So Hillsborough County Fire Rescue is testing cancer particulate hoods, and that's very important to us because of the health and safety of our firefighters. One of the things that we're most at risk for is cancer, and these new cancer particulate hoods that actually came on the market about 2 years ago. We've been going through some testing with them to make sure that we are picking the right hood for our folks, because there is some challenges with the new hoods, and we want to help in the research of those hoods to help create the best hood for the regional area.
Because the previous ones were just a thermal protection, correct? Is that?
Yes, ma'am. So the previous hoods were thermal protection only. So what they did is they allowed the firefighters to go in the fire, and they would not feel the heat on their ears and what have you. And
from the studies that came out, is that where it's, this is one of the areas of concern?
Yes, so studies have shown that firefighters have most of the risk for cancer, three areas, basically through their hands, through the neck area, and their groin area.
And this is just one thing that the departments or the agency's doing to try and limit exposure to carcinogens, right?
Yes, ma'am. We're a multifaceted approach to preventing cancer for our firefighters. One is hoods. We're also doing things such as we're building new stations that are set up to be clean stations, what they call clean stations. They have a rehab in the area before they actually enter the fire station, where they would actually decon. We're also deconning on every fire scene, which means basically taking a shower with our gear on, and then we turn in our gear to get professionally laundered, and we have it professionally inspected once a year. We're also doing a clean cap approach, so a multifaceted approach to helping our folks be as safe as they can while doing a risky job.
And the clean concept with the, whether it's decon on the scene or, with the cabs or the fire station, that really is a change of mindset, right, in the industry as a whole?
A completely different mindset. Mindset's been changing, the culture's looking to change, been changing over the last 2 to 3 years, but completely different than for people like myself that came on 20, 30 years ago. That was not the approach. Now the approach is we've really got to be aware of what we're exposing our folks to, and as chief officers, it's my job to make sure we protect our folks, and that's what we're doing here at Hillsborough County.
One of the other things that we mentioned there's an opportunity for your personnel to go through LifeScan.
Yeah, so LifeScan's a physical that we allow our personnel to have an opportunity to go through. And what that does, basically it's a physical, an annual physical that allows the physical uses ultrasound and some blood work and what have you that will hopefully, if they are exposed to any kind of diseases or they're coming down with anything, they'll catch in the initial stages to prevent further complications.
Because finding it early is important.
Early detection is number one. Definitely. Prevention is number one, and early detection number two.
Was there anything? The one thing I do want to ask too, if it's okay, is the legislation, the law went into effect in July 1st. How important is that for any firefighter in the state that this became law?
So the law was a tremendous step for firefighters in the state of Florida. That was recognized that we are a high risk profession and high risk of contacting cancer. So it was a big step in the right direction, and there's some challenges moving forward with the law that we're working out, but that's a process that we're working on.
With the law, the benefit's not something that you guys ever want to use. Like, this is why you're doing all these.
I prefer every member of our department never to use that benefit.
Let's talk a little bit about the new hoods, because there's the thermal hoods and there's some particular hoods. And are you guys testing one that's specific that you think is more conducive for the climate and the humidity that's here in Florida?
Yeah, so the cancer particulate hoods started coming out about 2 years ago with they call it NFPA 2018, and that's a standard that the fire service tries to meet. And with those hoods, the challenge with them is they have a moisture barrier inside them. The moisture barrier does not allow, it's not breathable, so to speak. So heat escapes the body through your head. When they first came out, that was one of the challenges here in Florida, especially the climate, of overheating your firefighters. And also another challenge with it is communication. The new hoods have with having the moisture barrier inside them, make it very hard to communicate and hear fellow firefighters inside of a fire. So what we've gone through is we've done extensive testing with with manufacturers, and trying to create a hood that allows, obviously, the number one concern of cancer carcinogen protection, but also where we can communicate and our folks don't get overheated.
Because there's an added challenge for for Florida with just the climate that's here.
Absolutely, with the climate we're here, it's 9 months out of the year we're 90 degrees or higher on average, and fighting a fire in those conditions and on top of the conditions is pretty challenging.
You're familiar with how the hood works and stuff. It's what they wear underneath the helmet, and their mask and stuff goes over it. So it's for communications. Is it the radios here, and so it's thicker and it's hard? Is that what it?
So the hood is donned after you have your face piece on, and it's underneath your helmet. And communications, we do have an amplifier on all our face pieces, but the challenge of communicating with the hood on is the hood covers your ears. So it's also covering your ears, and with the moisture barrier inside there, it makes almost like you're rubbing your ear up and down. So in order to be able to hear other folks communicating in a fire, which is critical for our folks to be able to communicate, we want to try to eliminate that as much as possible.
So it's about hearing, because it's covering the ears and it's thicker and it's hard for them to hear, which is a safety issue if you're in a fire.
It becomes an absolute safety issue inside a fire.
And then the moisture it would be just really hot and uncomfortable for them.
It's very hot. It's the moisture barrier inside the cloth. It's a lot of them aren't breathable, so it doesn't allow heat to escape, so it holds everything in.
Yeah, so that's why it's important to find something that
Absolutely.
is functional. Is there anything else that you wanted to add that I didn't ask you about?
I just wanted to say that first and foremost, the safety of our firefighters is paramount at Hillsborough County Fire Rescue. We're doing everything we can to ensure our firefighters are safe and protected to do the job they do, protecting citizens of Hillsborough County.
Is there anything else?
Just want to ask the chief maybe how we do the testing of the hoods and stuff, but it's not on actual fires.
Yeah, I'll because what I would want to do next is kind of go over there and have him walk me through the hoods.